Hey everybody, this is Eric Brady with Seattle Sound Home Inspections. Just doing a little repair today on my own home. This is something that comes up all the time with homes and our home inspections, is that these hose bibs, sometimes they'll be called silcocks in other parts of the country, but it's where you attach your hose. These leak. They often leak. This is an older style one. This is on my 1961 home. I was actually very surprised when I took this apart to find what I would consider more new technology here. This is a frost resistant hose bib, and the way you can tell that is, rather than having a stem right here, this is the stem, having a stem that's short and a little rubber gasket on the end of that stem that seals the water off and on depending on whether you open or close the valve. It's longer, it's down here, and the reason for that is this is the outside of the house and it's cold out here, and this is the inside of the house and this is warm, so down here should not freeze. Even if you have some freezing here, theoretically, especially in our mild Seattle climate, that should not be freezing. So we call these frost resistant, and new homes have this technology in them usually. There's some other things that go on with newer ones. There's some valves. You might have seen it before, a little plastic thing that sits on top here, and that's to keep, it's a vacuum breaker, and it's to keep suction from occurring, and have, you know, a very rare occasion where you might leave a hose attached here and you might suck hose water back into the house. This is an older style, doesn't have that. Very normal, you know, we just generally don't recommend you leave your hoses attached anyway. This is my own home, so I do what I want. The things that goes out on these is these rubber pieces here can deteriorate. This one's actually relatively new. The former homeowner must have replaced this at some point. This is certainly not a 1961 era seal, and so he probably took this apart, or she took this apart and put it back together. Now you can't really tell on the video, but it's quite hard. It's not rubbery at all anymore, and so that's where you first start getting your leaking typically, because this is hard and you have to really crank it down in order to get that to seal. You just take that apart and take it out, and I just sized it up right in the hardware store. I made sure it was the right size, and then I bought this small package. Another handy thing to have on hand, and I keep this in my plumbing box, just a box of plumbing supplies, is an assorted kit. This same size is in here. This is a flat washer kit. There's also beveled. I have one of those, and I thought, well, I'm just going to pick up some of these, and I'll keep them on hand in case I need them. But I also got a few of these. I'll probably put my extras back in here. So it's pretty simple how you do this. You gotta turn the water off, and let me show you where it was connected here in my carport. Now I remodeled the basement behind this wall, so when I did that, I put in what's called a service shutoff, which is I can shut off water just to this hose bib, and we still have water in the rest of the house. And then I was able to put a wrench on here and carefully twist it counterclockwise, lefty-loosey, and take it out. Now, there's a couple different ways that those can be connected, and you do have to be careful. Occasionally, a hole has to be cut here in order for access to be granted to get this out of there. Mine came out easily, and I was able to take it apart. Now, you can change the valve seal easily. This is inside of here normally, and this rod goes all the way down here, and that's what you turn at the faucet. You can change this simply without taking this completely apart by loosening this nut, which is attached under here, this little brass bolt, if you will, and then you can pry this out, put a new one in, and put the brass nut back in. And typically you wouldn't need to take it apart this far if that was the only thing that was the matter, if it was just dripping from here. Now, it's not all that uncommon for them to also drip from the stem when it's on. The stem is a little bit trickier. In order to do that, you have to loosen the screw, which is on the end of the handle, take it out, remove the handle from this, and you know, you have to pull and get this material out. And what came out of here was, first we loosened this. This goes around the lower portion of the handle. And then we got this. There's a washer and packing. The packing is like a jute or a cotton type material. And this stuff gets hydrated over time. When it was put in new, it was loaded with grease. And that grease held the water back from coming out along the stem while the faucet was on. So the way you fix that, I was not able to find any new jute at the store, but this is in relatively good shape. I was careful when I took it out. You can re-grease it and then reinstall it. Newer styles may have a synthetic version of this. I'm not really sure because all my newer faucets haven't leaked. So my older ones have, and it's always looked like this when I've taken it apart. So you can re-grease it, and then you essentially just reassemble it. This is a little bit more complicated than probably most people are comfortable with. But again, getting a plumber out to repair this can be rather expensive. So people just tend to live with the leak. It's not that hard, especially if you can shut off water to the home and not have an issue, you know, with leaking or anything like that. Now, when you reinstall this, I like to use Teflon paste rather than Teflon tape here. And the reason for that is when we put this back in through the wall, you can imagine it's going to get gunk on there, and I'm going to have to thread it blind back into its connection. And I just really want that to seal back up. I don't want any leaks in the wall because I don't want any leaks in my basement ceiling. Yeah, that's it. It's really not as hard as it seems, and this is one of those things, I don't know about you, but boy, do I find this annoying when these leak. So I actually bought a new one just in case I wasn't able to rebuild this. I don't have any doubt I'm going to be able to rebuild this one now. I'll just put the new bib back in my inventory. Now, they do sell replacement hose bibs that have a ball valve. Those are really rather nice because there's very little that can wear out on those. The downside to those is they're not frost resistant. Now that I know that this one is frost resistant, I am not going to need to put on a you know, a warmer on here or an insulator in the winter. So I'm actually going to stick with this. I would have also considered replacing this completely, but this size here is not standard with what they were carrying at the local hardware store. So it's just more time efficient for me to just rebuild this and reinstall it and not have to dig into the wall and start replumbing and moving things around just to fit their awkward sizes. These come in a couple different sizes. Typically they're either 3/4 or 1/2 inch. Most of them here in the Puget Sound area that I see are 3/4. I don't know why the hardware stores carry 1/2 inch. They just do. Sometimes they're 5/8 on older homes. So you do kind of need to know what you got there. When I was thinking I might replace this, I took this entire assembly to the hardware store with me so I could just compare this length from here to here and the thread size, and that way there was really no doubt that if I was going to buy a new one I wouldn't end up with the wrong materials. It seems like in plumbing projects you end up running back and forth to the hardware store multiple times because you need one more thing or your plans change or whatever. So I use my local, either Ace or in my case Dunn Lumber, even though they have a very limited plumbing section, but this kind of stuff they have. Yeah, if you have any questions or want to try this yourself, I encourage you to give it a shot. It's really nice if you have a service shutoff so that if you mess it up, you're not out of water. I can actually smell my wife cooking lunch right now, and I hear the water running inside, so she doesn't even know that I've got this turned off. So anyways, if you know anyone who needs help with home inspection stuff or home maintenance stuff, get in touch with me. Talk to you later. Bye.